right now. I want to take some questions from you guys. And no filter, just throw them at me and let me know what you have. You better,
I got one.
yes, sir.
I watch a lot of Alaska State Troopers.
Okay.
I know in Alaska, they got a law on the books, like if you're drunk, that law says you cannot have that gun with you. Does North Carolina have a law like that?
North Carolina law. So if you're, you can't drink while you're concealed carrying. You're not allowed to have any alcohol in your system while you're concealed carrying. While you're open carrying, I wouldn't have any alcohol in my system because that's going to be used against you. And intoxication and use and possession of a firearm, you can actually be charged with that. So yes, you're absolutely right. It's same thing for North Carolina. You should not, do not drink and open carry with a firearm. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, because I know a lot of people don't, well, they may not watch Alaska State Troopers,
Right.
but you can pick up a lot of good info about guns, like Alaska.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Normally North Carolina is like .08, and you can have a firearm while you're at .08. But as soon as you discharge that firearm while you're at a .08, if an officer is called to the scene, you're in for a rigorous line of questioning that you are not prepared to answer because you're at a .08 alcohol content, and why are you firing the gun? I would say that on the book, you can probably do it. Answer is though you shouldn't. You should not do it at all. Next question. Yes, ma'am.
I have a couple follow-ups. On just a random checkpoint stop, are you required to tell the officer then that you are carrying, you have a CCW?
As best you can. As
Okay.
best you can. So as you're rolling up, you can say, I have a gun. You can do that.
But I
Maybe
mean,
not like that.
no, I'm getting serious. I mean, at a
Yes.
random checkpoint, not if you're pulled over, but I mean.
Yes, yes, you still have to let them know.
Okay, and a second follow-up to that. You made reference to if you have the kind of back seat where you can reach into your trunk.
Yes.
I'm not clear. So is that not considered a separate,
That is a separate part of the vehicle.
okay, even though it has the pass-through to the back
Yes.
seat? That's still.
Even though it has the pass through the back, because there are cases where, this is just anecdotal, my friends, they're driving, this was in high school, driving along in like a Ford Focus or something, dropped the back seat, saw cops, took all their paraphernalia, rolled it through to the trunk and put it up. The cops smelled the marijuana, couldn't search the vehicle, couldn't find anything.
Okay,
It's in the trunk, it's locked in the trunk.
Okay.
Separate containers, same thing goes with glove boxes as well,
Okay.
as a separate locked container.
okay.
Unless what the officer is looking for could fit in that container.
Okay. And if you do allow them to search and they find, say your buddy has a knife in his suitcase, I mean, is that a concealed weapon that you didn't notify them about?
That would be a concealed weapon on your person if you're out and about, but it depends on the size of the, pardon me, a knife in a suitcase, no,
Okay,
you're fine with that.
okay.
Yes, sir.
So let's say I own a pistol and it's locked in my gun safe, and I go out for the night, it's still locked in my safe, and I legally own it. And a 17-year-old kid comes to my place and like busts open my safe, for example, with whatever tools he has, and he uses my gun in a crime the night of, so I can't report it stolen. Can anything be brought against me?
No,
No.
no, because you did everything you were supposed to. You locked it up. You didn't leave the key next to the safe. You didn't tell everyone where the key is. In that situation, no, you have no liability for that, but you're not getting that gun back.
Okay.
Probably not for a couple of years. The facts change. When you change the facts a little bit, the whole scenario is radically different. If it was your buddy, and your buddy knew where you keep the gun, or keep the keys, you're like, yeah, if you ever want to shoot it, you just go right ahead. That could be accessory before the fact. So just changing a few facts can change the whole scenario significantly. There's a hand up over here. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I travel quite a bit between North Carolina and Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
The law of reciprocity. How do I carry a gun from Carolina to Illinois and back.
Carefully.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
You gotta worm your way around locations that do not allow reciprocity with North Carolina. My uncle, when he was going from Virginia through DC, he'd have to stop, put his firearm in the trunk, and this was before the Heller decisions. He had to like dismantle the firearm and lock it in 2 separate containers. And I said, why would you even do that? He goes, well, it still was faster to do it that way than to go around around DC. But yeah, that's your burden to bear. You're just gonna have to plan your trip accordingly.
Yeah.
Sorry. You had your hand up, man?
If you're riding with someone else, if I was riding with my sister
Mm-hmm.
and I have my gun in my purse,
Mm-hmm.
the police are not going to know ahead of time that I have a gun because the car is in her name.
Mm-hmm.
Should I,
Tell her that you have a firearm?
well, she knows, but should she say something to them?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because what you don't want to do is be in the scenario in which you're now talking to the cop, or your sister's now talking to the officer, like, oh, I didn't know I was speeding. Or don't say that either. And he somehow gets reasonable suspicion to search the vehicle, or probable cause to search the vehicle, and your firearm turns up, you're both in trouble at
Okay.
that point. Even if you didn't tell her, if you had it and you didn't tell her and she didn't know, you're both in trouble.
She'd be mad. Okay.
Another question? Yes,
I have a
ma'am.
question, I'm not sure that I can articulate this correctly, but I guess New York City and New Jersey, you cannot have a gun.
Correct.
How is that legal? I just
You can
interested.
have a gun.
Yeah.
You
But you
can have a
can't
gun.
carry it in your car.
Correct. Correct. Yeah. The most restrictive is because those are so narrowly tailored. They narrowly tailor the Second Amendment to say, yes, you can have a firearm, but it has to be locked up separate from the ammunition, and it can't leave your home. And they might say you can't have a handgun, but you can have a long gun. Look, a firearm is a firearm, and it didn't say you had the right to bear handguns. You had to bear firearms. So we're just restricting handguns. And I mean, unless you're going to get rid of all the legislators and all the politicians in that state, that's just how the law is going to stay.
I don't get that at all.
That's why I live in North Carolina.
It's like, okay, I can be at home and I can protect myself at home, but can't protect myself anywhere else.
That's what the police are for.
Yeah.
I just,
Give me a break.
I know, right? But no, but realistically though, if you are in a situation, especially active shooter, don't be a hero. I know I said all that stuff about hero. Protect your loved ones, but most situations are not worth dying for. They're not worth even going through all this because you're going to lose years of your life. You might even become a pariah in your own community because your face is going to be plastered all over the news. Person from Mid Hill, North Carolina shoots person in house. That's pretty much how the news is going to spin it. You just say that you shot a guy. It's not going to say that you shot a violent attacker that was wanted in several states, and then the federal marshals were just so happy that they gave you a bounty on him. That doesn't happen. So call the police. Call the police and try and distance yourself from the situation. Another question? Yes, sir.
Under Terry frisk, say if I'm walking out in public and I'm concealed carry. The officer comes up and says, I think you have a weapon, and I respond, I have a concealed weapons permit. Does that end the frisk?
No. No. What's going to happen is if he'd have to have a reasonable suspicion to even stop you, and then based on that stop, to then frisk you.
Okay.
It is beneficial if you tell him that you have a CCW, sure. Because he's going to find out, aha, I knew it. He had a firearm. All right, what's your point?
Yeah.
You think that I'm involved in a crime, but he might let you go at that point, but he's probably going to search you. Another question? Yes, ma'am.
Is it a bad idea for somebody to advertise the fact that they have guns by placing certain decals on their car?
Yes, I think so. I think it's absolutely a bad idea to put stuff on your on your doorstep that says, you know, we don't call 911 and pictures of guns all over the place.
Yeah.
Because what you're also doing is saying, hey, when I'm not here, there's a treasure in there.
I saw one on the back of a truck.
That's why we
that said,
don't, but that's what we don't
That's
post our
what,
flags.
it goes for social media too.
Yeah, exactly.
We're
Keep
in,
calm and carry or something like that.
Yeah,
On the back of the
I mean,
truck
you
today.
can be an avid gun owner. You can be pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment. That's perfectly fine. Don't tell everybody what you have and where you keep. Oh, I keep one right here. I'd be surprised if I found one. But if I keep one right here all the time, someone's going to talk. Oh, did you know that my buddy Kyle, he keeps one right underneath the counter? And then 3 weeks later, someone's just going to walk in here, and the first thing they're going to do is reach around the counter and grab that gun. They're going to know where it is.
Do you think an officer, if he sees that on someone's car, that heightens their anxiety?
I mean, yeah.
Can't imagine it not.
It would heighten the anxiety for it,
Especially nowadays.
but it's also still your traditional traffic stop. He still doesn't know what he's gonna get, because that might be on the sticker, that might be, the decal might be on the truck, but then the person he pulled over turns out to be like his 16-year-old kid. Chances are the kid doesn't have a firearm, but he doesn't know that. If anything, it's really no different than if he had a big marijuana leaf on the back and NWA stickers and things like that. It's going to raise the anxiety for the officer, but that's what his training is for. You're still going to get scrutinized, but you're just looking to be harassed when you do things like that.
I had another question, and this might be a whole evening's worth of discussion, but what can we do to protect our Second Amendment rights?
Okay.
Next week, right?
It's like, who are you gonna vote for?
The long and short of it, right. You gotta be careful. So with your Second Amendment rights, it's gonna keep an eye on your state. And when I say keep an eye on your state, keep an eye on your city, your county, and keep an eye on your city. Who you put in charge of your city council, who you put in charge as county commissioners, these are the people that are going to affect your life the most. To give you an example, Pennsylvania City Council, Pittsburgh, let's just take something like that. This was out in Louisville, Kentucky. I was talking to a fellow. In Pennsylvania, a city council said that they're going to charge people with, as a local ordinance, a Class 2 misdemeanor if you are carrying a firearm in a park after 7 p.m., public park. You can carry it during the day, but you cannot carry it at night. So that means you're not going to go to the park at night anymore, because even though they're not going to prosecute you, they might not prosecute you, everyone knows, okay, if he's probably not carrying a firearm because he doesn't want to get in trouble, I'm now going to specifically target people in the park at night because I know that they're not going to be carrying. It has a chilling effect of people saying, I just don't want to be hassled. It's the open carry policy in Mecklenburg County. I don't want to be hassled. I'd rather just not carry anything than be hassled. And when you do that, now there are less people going to the park. I guess that's a victory for the city council, but they can pass those things so quickly that it's a vote of like 7-2. All right, it's passed. We got to get home. It's 9 o'clock on a Wednesday. That's probably the best thing you can do, is keep an eye on your local community leaders, because they're going to be the ones that affect you the most.
That Mecklenburg police hassling people, is that, like Pineville, Matthews, Mid Hill, is that all of Mecklenburg?
I'm going to say that's most specifically in the Center City, West Charlotte, for the reasons because crime is so rampant.
Right.
But it is encroaching into areas like the Matthews area, because they want to make this is a suburban utopia. This is Matthews. I haven't had any issues with the Mid Hill area, but it depends on who you put in for your community leaders and what they ask the law enforcement to do, and say, we need you to step it up, and we don't want people open carrying. We don't want people doing this. What's that?
So you don't see a lot of it in that hill. You used to.
Still old school.
Yeah, you used to see a lot of open carry, but not as much anymore.
And that's the biggest concern that I have with the open carry is, one, I don't recommend it because I think you make yourself a target when you open carry. It's like, oh, he's got a gun. I bet I can get that. But most specifically, it's now that you can get charged with going to the terror of the public, going armed to the terror of the public. You will have that added on if you're concealed carrying and somebody sees it. And they'll say, well, he's open carrying. So that's the biggest concern that I see in that.
Would you say the 4 things that, when you looked up what terror of the public, that phrase?
Yeah. Oh, you want the 4 elements?
Yeah.
Sure.
Unusual or dangerous weapon, the first one.
Arms himself or herself with an unusual and dangerous weapon. Double-barreled shotgun, pistol, derringer, horse. For the purpose of terrifying others, goes about on a public highway, if it's private land, it's all yours, in a manner to cause terror to the people. I have no idea what that means. I have no idea what elements 2 and 4 mean. But those are the ones that come down to a reasonable person standard and whether the prosecutor can get 12 people to find you guilty of that. But these are usually add-on charges, and they have that effect of preventing people from carrying altogether, whether it's concealed or not.
How do they prove intent?
Intent? There's no intent there. Except, oh, I'm sorry, you're talking about for the purpose of terrifying others?
Yeah. I mean, how do you prove intent?
Why did you have the firearm? To defend myself. Why weren't you concealing it better? Why did you need to open carry? The intent? I wish I could answer that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, how could they prove that and make it stick? That's what I don't
Yeah.
It
understand.
They're
sounds
gonna-
more like
it's
it's
gonna-
based on perception of the person who decided to complain
Yes.
instead.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's
Still
a
not a
reasonable
logical
person.
reason why you would carry a gun, but to terrorize others.
And there are too many people, and this, like I said, this is the sensitivities that
Yes.
we're bringing people up with. And I like Charlotte, I do. I think it's a pretty city, it's one of the prettiest cities I've ever been in. But it gets that way because we bring people from all over the United States in, and when you're getting people from a more restrictive, as far as gun control goes, mindset, they're gonna bring those same morals to Charlotte and try and enforce that on us. And we saw that same thing with the NBA not wanting to do their series of games here because of HB2, I think it was called, HB2. Regardless of how you feel about HB2, that's something that we're facing in Mecklenburg County is other states and large businesses saying, until you do the way things we do them, we're not going to come to your state. And so you're going to see North Carolina and Mecklenburg County and all these other states and all these other counties start to ramp it up and try and be more similar or more like these other locations because they want the business. Business is great, but you have to be able to protect your home at a certain point. I think we're pretty much out of time here. It's 8:10. Folks, I want to thank you so much for coming out tonight. I'm sure you have more questions for me. Feel free to take a card, take a flyer, and message me with any more questions. I'm looking forward to your feedback, as well as if you want to see more, if you want to have more of these talks, let me know. I'm going to be doing this talk again to a larger crowd. Planning on doing it at the Mid Hill Masonic Lodge. That's going to be another open event. No charge for that. Just come on out. Probably fit about 150 people. But I'd like to be doing these every couple of weeks in the area, and I'm going to be working on a nonprofit to get myself into schools for that. But after that, I'd be happy to talk to you folks afterwards. But I'm going to let you get home. Yes, Mark?
What's your date? That one in September.
The plan right now, tentative plan, 27th of September at 7 p.m. That should be a Tuesday. And the Facebook page will be getting updated with all of this information for CW Lachey Law. That's my law practice. Thank you again so much. I appreciate you guys coming out. If if you want to talk to me afterwards, feel free to. Otherwise, thanks for coming out, and I'll see you around.
Thank you.